Talk of the Town is up and running in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, USA. I'm Scott Montesano, and this is where the Chippewa Valley comes to talk. I just realized if you're watching on YouTube, I got my dress shirt buttoned all the way to the top because I had a tie on earlier, and don't have the tie on anymore, so I got to undo a button there. Got to look a little cooler. Either that or I could have gone with a bolo tie. Speaking of which, I was joking with my wife all Saturday and into Sunday morning. I was like, I need to get a bolo tie like Grandpa Simpson because we were all excited to go on Sunday night to the Blackhawk concert at the Pablo Center, 90s country band. And it's one of those things, I said it before, I'm not a huge Blackhawk fan, or at least I didn't think I was. But I had a chance to go, wanted to have a night out. We've said it numerous times before, whether it's the Pablo Center or, of course, Sonntag as well with some of the events they've got going on. Stretch things out, meaning that try something. At the very least, you're going to have a night out. And these are very nice spots, including especially the Pablo Center. Very nice. You sit in there, and you don't even think you're in Eau Claire anymore. Not that it's a bad thing, not that you're looking for the escape. You understand what I mean, hopefully. You're sort of like, wow, this is here. I'm taking a miniature vacation. You're not always inside the Pablo Center. So I was excited to go, but Sunday, about 10:30, 11, we were at my son's hockey game, and I got an email, said the Blackhawk concert was... Well, they said canceled. Did they say canceled or postponed? I forgot what wordage they used, because being in sports, there's a whole other thing there. I'm very adamant about using the proper language. Either way, no Blackhawk concert on Sunday. Somebody got sick with Blackhawk either way, and they've moved it to December 14th. So no Blackhawk, no concert for me on Sunday night. I was very disappointed, and I finally went on the Spotify to listen to what music was I going to hear anyway on Sunday night. Turns out a bunch of bangers I remember from the 90s. I would have, again, I almost purposefully avoided finding out what Blackhawk songs were. And a couple that I threw out that I thought were Blackhawk songs, they were somebody else. Like Lone Star, I guess. I guess I confused Blackhawk with Lone Star. Another band that I really don't know much about, but it just turns out that I knew some Lone Star songs. But as soon as I started hearing the Blackhawk songs, I went, damn, I would have been surprised in a good way on Sunday night. So that was Sunday. Today on Tuesday, we got some snow in the morning here in Eau Claire. Looks nice outside. Snow will be gone by Wednesday afternoon, but a nice snow globe effect. One of those nice snows that, especially within the city, doesn't impact your travel that much. Just note that it's a little slick at spots, but it's a beautiful snow globe. And I'm sure a lot of people are out taking photos. The playgrounds in the elementary schools were flush with activity. So, good time had by all. We will not talk much about the wheel tax. We did that last week. I told you last Tuesday, which was our last show, that they were going to pass it. They passed it. Not unanimously, and I think it's kind of interesting to look at who voted no on it. Larry Mboga, who is, I think, the city council who most likely votes no on these certain things. He voted no. Charlie Johnson, who has been voting no on a lot of these things. The parking, I think I don't think he backed the parking, downtown parking 100%, but he voted no on the wheel tax. The younger gentleman out of UW Eau Claire and Emily Berge, the city council president, voted no. And it's noteworthy who voted no because in there, I don't know where Mboga sides, but Johnson and especially Berge are Democrats. So this did not go down party lines at all. And you're kidding yourself if you don't think that there is some bit of political affiliation that plays into some decisions. So they voted no. The Berge one is kind of interesting in that one, the belief has been her and Stephanie Hirsch are like sisters. They are close together, and clearly in this case, Bergie voted no, so don't know whether that friendship has dissolved or she truly did think on her own on this one. The other is, of course, Bergie's going to go for the Democratic nod in the congressional race to go up against Rebecca Cook. And while you might not see much of a connection and it's not a big thing, there's a good chance Bergie voted no on the wheel tax because she doesn't want that evil on her. She may very well still want the wheel tax, may very well have known the votes were there to pass the wheel tax. But if I vote no, it doesn't stop it from going through, which I support. But I also now am on record as defending the little person in town. I am defender of people's wallets and purses in town by voting no. She kind of wants that. Not that it will be a big campaign stumping thing there, but when you're getting into this level of politics, and folks, that's going to be a contentious race next year, you want to make sure you're cleaning things up. This is one of those things that if she'd voted yes for, it could have been another thing thrown out there against her. So, wheel tax is what the wheel tax is. How about some good decisions made by local leaders? So we started talking in September. It came out that the Eau Claire School District was considering, and that's the key thing, considering some plans to consolidate schools in the district, because there is reality, folks, that population shifts are happening. There's not as many kids in school, even though people are coming into town. There's not as many kids in school. The school district's got to look, and it's malpractice if they're not constantly looking at ways to tighten things up. One of the ideas included them closing schools, consolidating schools. We come to find out this week those plans are not moving forward. One of the plans included them closing Flynn Elementary, which just opened in the late 90s. And yeah, it's nearly 30 years old, but that's still a relatively new school in this district and in most districts. When you build a school, now you get to a school, 50, 60 years old, now you're starting to think something different, but 30 years old, and that school very much a part of the East Side Hill neighborhood, you did not want to see that close. Longfellow was on the chopping block, and of course Roosevelt's always there. Plan not going forward. The right call by the school district. The absolute right call by the school district at this moment. It's not something the community wanted. It's not something, I think it's something that the community also understood the potential benefits that could have been there, and the benefits are outweighed by what you would lose. Now, that being said, boundary changes, some other things we'll bring up here in a second, those are still going to be on the table in 2-3 years. You are going to have changes in the Eau Claire area school district. You have to, once in a while, have boundary changes, whether you like it or not. Every 10 years or so, you really do. And we'll see if Roosevelt survives again. I think one idea being pushed out there is they've got Prairie Ridge, which has been this elaborate pre-K building that the school district has had. And how old is that building? 20, 25 years old? And it's being floated out there that Prairie Ridge take the place of Roosevelt as a brand new elementary school. So these ideas are going to be thrown out there in the next 2-3 years. And eventually, here's the other thing that everybody's going to have to get ready for, is when there are changes, you will have people that will be stubborn and not want any change. Not want any change. What you have to do, though, is the majority of people can be, I don't want to say swayed, but can be convinced in a good way, like, hey, you don't want to do this, but this is good for you. It's like taking your medicine. And if you are able to showcase things, if you're able to show things, and the communication is key. And I will throw this out there before we move on to one other thing. When we talk communication, And you already know 2-3 years from now, there's going to be changes are going to have to happen. Be open, be honest if you're the school. Have stuff easily available online. Don't try to hide it. Will there be people that say, I didn't hear anything? Yes, there will always be those people, but if you always have it on your website, right there, easy, you put it out there on Facebook, it's talked about in the meetings, you've done your job. All right? A lot of times people will throw out, oh, there was no communication. That's sort of their initial jab to stun the conversation while they actually gather up real evidence to back up their side of things or gather up some real ammunition. Sometimes, as is the case with, say, the data center in Menominee, there is some element of truth to the lack of communication. And that's what's hurting leaders over in Menominee, because they didn't say things as soon as they probably should have. They were protecting the interests of the wrong side, and that's coming back to bite them. And something like this for the Eau Claire School District, and I think they did a pretty good job with this, open and honest, and told people what it was. As you go forward, show people the data, explain the data to people, have it easily available online, and over time, say, hey, once again, use the pool debate in Chippewa Falls is a great example. Go, folks, here's what we got. If you were in our position, you would look and go, you've got to change this, right? So we've presented this plan to change it. If you want to keep it the same, understand it's not efficient, but look at the data we're working with. So that you want that as you go ahead. The City of Eau Claire announced late last week that they've re-upped with Visit Eau Claire on marketing the community, marketing the city. About a year ago, the city started doing its due diligence, seeing if bringing the marketing services of promoting the city and whatnot, bringing those in-house would be better. Not necessarily from a production standpoint, because across the board, universally, in the business community and really in the government community, people like the work that Visit Eau Claire does. It's hard to argue with what they actually do. But there is bed tax and revenue that, hey, instead of us outsourcing it, if we keep it, is it worth it? It would have been malfeasance if the City of Eau Claire, as the contractors to you and I who live in the city, it would be malfeasance if they're not looking at different ways of increasing revenue. The problem was in the way it was handled by Stephanie Hurst. Surprise, surprise. It was fat-handed. The perception from day one, it wasn't that they were simply doing their due diligence. The perception was she was looking to push out Visit Eau Claire. And that quickly drew more anger from business people in town. Other governments in the area were laughing at the City of Eau Claire. Because it's one thing to say, hey, we just want to make sure the money all adds up here. We're good. We like what you're doing. We're not going to leave you, but we just want to look. No, the idea was, and whether it was truly what her thought was or not, the perception was she was looking to push out Visit Eau Claire. They did back channel talks. They wanted it out there that, hey, we're going to see about doing something better than Visit Eau Claire. Now, you can look without insulting. Reality is you should look quick, but the goal should always have been to re-up. And that doesn't seem like it was the case initially. For example, even if you like your current job, you should always be looking for other opportunities. It doesn't mean you want to leave your current job, but you should look just in case a no-brainer is out there. Now, it's a whole other thing if you're actively applying, and that is what the sense was here. So it's good. City of Eau Claire's re-up with Visit Eau Claire, And if you say, well, what's this going to change? It changes nothing. That's good. That's good. You haven't even noticed that over the years. Visit Eau Claire has done a bang-up job. And I remember we've been saying that on this program since before they were working with Eau Claire Hometown Media. Visit Eau Claire, under various executive directors, under various leadership, does a very valuable job for not only the city of Eau Claire, but the entire area, helping to market the area. And I know some people poo-poo tourism dollars, but Linda Johns made a great point to me about 15 years ago. And that is, somebody comes into our community from, say, Duluth. Everybody in this town always has this obsession with Duluth. Somebody comes from Duluth with $1, and they bring that dollar into town. That's a new dollar in our area. That's a new dollar in our area. When you and I go to a local business, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's paying somebody to fix our roof, that money is circulating in town. That's good. But you need new dollars coming in, because if you don't have new dollars, eventually the dollars that are spinning around, they're still going up, because you and I are buying from Amazon. You and I are leaving town ourselves to do things. You and I are having to buy something for business. We're paying a service that isn't in our area, whatever. So as money's going out, you need to bring money in, and that is tourism dollars. That's how you get it in. That's how you bring more revenue into a community. And so that's, Visit Eau Claire is not about just sitting there making some marketing material and promoting things like the curd crawl or something like that. It is about showcasing our area. And there is a sense of pride when you go someplace else and you hear... There isn't any sort of big... I listen to a lot of online streaming services, of course. I get a lot of ads on my phone for Des Moines and Omaha. Actually, those are the two big ones. Come visit Omaha. Come visit Des Moines. Eventually, I wouldn't be surprised. I won't get it, because why advertise here? I'm already here. But Visit Eau Claire's job is to, down in Des Moines and down in Omaha, tell people to come to Western Wisconsin. You need somebody to do that. So again, right idea by City of Eau Claire to re-up with Visit Eau Claire. It's never been a discussion in this area whether Visit Eau Claire does a good enough job. It's never been a discussion in this area. So happy that they re-up there, because that was something, again, about a year ago. If the City of Eau Claire had dropped Visit Eau Claire, that would have been a very, very contentious thing. From WQOW, a local group is frustrated after an important Lake Altoona project has been delayed for a year. The county was planning to conduct a repair of the dam next year, but changes to the approved county budget mean that the project is now being pushed into 2027. The Friends of Lake Altoona group and the Lake District, they were planning to do a dredging project during the dam repairs while the water was drawn down. That would have saved money. Unfortunately, the Friends of Lake Altoona will have to do the same. They'll have to reschedule the repairs. Mark Sabin, treasurer of the Friends of Lake Altoona, expressed that it's disappointing to have it postponed, and they hope to maintain the revised schedule. It's important to do these dredging projects. Helps to keep out invasive species and the likes, and also makes it easier for boaters to navigate. But the Lake Altoona projects delayed for a year. All right, wanted to get to this story today because I think it's interesting. You and I both know, well, I am not in any one of the extreme sides, the extreme left or the extreme right. In fact, I think a lot, as I've said on this program before, that you start getting too far to the extremes, politics becomes nothing more than sport. It's not about moving a cause or anything like that. And just because you're very passionate, there's a difference between being very passionate about a topic and extreme left or extreme right. If you're very passionate about a singular topic, that is truly passion. You're up against something, you want to try to make sure people know X, Y, Z. Extreme left, extreme right are all in on let's talk about this. So I had a meeting postponed late yesterday afternoon. And I forget exactly how this happened, but I stumbled on the Chippewa Valley Indivisible Facebook page. So I wanted to learn more about this group because this is the group that occasionally I'll see pop up. They're the ones that get these rallies together in downtown Eau Claire. This is an extreme leftist counter to the extreme right. Basically, it's the leftist dorks equivalent to the right-wing dorks. The type of people who feel as though they are battling for our souls. They're battling for our souls. As an aside, again, it's perfectly okay to have passion for things, but these groups lead people to view politics and causes like it's sport. People stop allowing themselves to think for themselves and are simply rooting for their side, not necessarily for the country. We won't go too far down this path, but there are lots of examples of people who say they support something, but mindfully their actions are otherwise. And when you find yourself all in with an extreme side, folks, you are caught in a number of cases of hypocrisy. A number of cases of hypocrisy where at numerous times you've had to look yourself in the mirror and rationalize, I'm doing this now. Isn't this kind of what I argued against, though, about a year ago? No, it's different now because that's what we do as sports fans. It's one thing as a sports fan to do it. It's a whole other thing when you're when you're a little bit more serious and you're talking actual cultural things in our society. Either way, one thing caught me about this Chippewa Valley Indivisible Facebook page that I was going down. So Turning Point USA, this is Charlie Kirk's outlet, the late Charlie Kirk. Over the years, Turning Point USA developed chapters inside high schools, clubs that promote dialogue on topics, and yes, they lean conservative. No different than there are schools that have a democracy club and schools that have the Young Republicans. This is not officially a Republican group, but it does clearly lean conservative, as you and I know. And there are chapters locally, and there are others coming. I think Eau Claire North is about to have one. I think Memorial is starting up. Students want to start these clubs up. They petition for them, and they follow the process of any other club that starts in a school. Well, these indivisible people are in a tizzy like rats caught in a burlap sack as they've learned of this. No different than the robble you hear from extreme right groups when it comes to school boards making even the most common sense decision and fighting things like vetted vaccines and such. So that's what the extreme right goes nuts about. The extreme left is going nuts over this. Turning Point USA following the rules and starting organizations in these schools. The indivisible people view this as indoctrination. Well, what side have we heard this before? They view this as indoctrination in the schools. They make passive-aggressive jokes about why can't there be a democracy club? As I said, there could be. They make jokes about religion in their comments. And as I got my blood boiled looking through this, I stopped. And I realized, just like with the extreme right nuts, just shut it off. So I quickly pivoted, got off the page, started reading about my New York Jets, and got even more pissed. Couple of things. You all know, again, I don't like any extreme sides. Two, just because you don't agree doesn't make this indoctrination. You sound just like conservatives who say the same damn thing about education and what goes on in schools. And you laugh at them. Pot, meet, kettle. You see what I mean about hypocrisy? And when you go to these extreme sides, you get yourself caught in it because they don't ever understand you can take a knee on something. Well, that's a other thing from years ago. You can just shut up. You can just shut up. You don't have to have an opinion. You don't have to have a strong opinion on everything. Also, you can start an organization in schools. There's a policy. There's a checklist that you can do. And if you really do think, well, there should be a liberal side of this, a liberal counter, there can be. Reach out to the Eau Claire Democrats. Yeah. The head of the Eau Claire County Democratic Party told me verbatim they don't do anything except provide moral support for candidates. I still remember that email from a few months ago. So that's one I will side with you with Chippewa Valley Indivisible. If you're upset with the activity or lack thereof of the county Democrats, I feel your pain on that one. The other thing is, and you get this a lot from the extreme left, that I do think the extreme left has got to stop with. Not everybody who leans extreme right or everybody who is somebody of religion is some nut job. Leave religion out of this. You see this a lot on their page. I once had a doctor over beers tell me he rarely finds a person or a family that isn't religious when death is breathing down the neck. It's okay if you don't follow organized religion. Here's what I've said numerous times before. I truly believe faith is real, religion is man-made, your faith is real to you, and religion, much like following a sports franchise, is however the vehicle you want to acknowledge your faith and acknowledge your belief. There's a lot of it that is the same. If you don't follow organized religion, it's okay. If you have no faith or belief, that's okay. As a practicing Catholic, I do acknowledge there is a chance that the white light people report seeing is nothing more than the brain firing one last blast, and then it's nothing. But it's rude and insensitive to attack those that do believe. Don't attack those people and believe that they're foolish. And sadly, many times your argument back, if you're an extreme left who doesn't believe in religion, your argument back usually is, well, they, pointing at the right, they made fun of something that we believe in first. So to the Chippewa Valley Indivisible people and to the right-wingers who counter with their marches and such, stop all the protesting. It does nothing to move someone like me in the middle. All you aunts and uncles, stop it on social media. Spend time with your family. Go out and get laid. Go out and get laid. You know, maybe have a romantic dinner with your better half and just go to town with each other. Oh, you insulted by that? You insulted by that? You insulted that I promoted sex between two people? Well, I'm insulted with the fake outrage that the left-wing loonies and the right-wing radicals have to the vast majority of us. We got one guy, God bless him, Dan Marcon's podcast, which, by the way, I've numerous times said, Dan Marcon is not extreme right. If you believe Dan Marcon is extreme right, then you have not listened to his shows. Does he have right-leaning tendencies? Abso-stinkin-lutely. But he's not an extreme right. But God bless, we have one gentleman who doesn't put his name on his social media feed, who always posts something about Dan's wrong and whatnot. And I don't delete him. I've had to hide a couple comments. His friends can still see what he wrote. But at one point, just get off of social media. And a quick note, by the way, and Democrats better take note of this. This is how I end this. And it plays a big factor in next year's local congressional race. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's been very much in the news the last week or so, knows what she's doing. And other Republicans are starting to do it as well. These extremists that were all in on MAGA are beginning to show signs of softening, and it's mindful. Whether it's real inside of them or not, they're doing it. Because the first party to actively try to absorb the middle will dominate. Locally, Derek Van Orden's a lost cause. He's not going to soften. He's not going to soften. If either Cook or Berge makes an actual reach to the middle, they'll win in a landslide. They will win in a landslide less than a year from now. You don't have to. The scary thing is both Berge or Cook, whoever ends up running against him, they're going to need all the outside money. And the outside money tends to want you to have strong views, not in the middle, but perhaps at the national level, they too will recognize, because it might be a race to the middle. I was never a fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she may be the canary in the coal mine on a lot of this. She might end up being the canary in the coal mine. And the Georgia, state of Georgia Republicans have already come out and backed her. They've come out and backed her. So she's got support where it lays. All right, we're back with you on Thursday, another edition of Talk of the Town then. On behalf of everyone who made this podcast possible, I'm Scott Montesano saying there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. Make sure to take advantage of it. And until next time, so long, everybody.